Okay, welcome to the third example of linear application. So this given word problem is stated, a student has gotten scores of 97 and 60 on the first two tests. What score must be earned on the third test to keep an average of 80 or greater? Alright, so let's take a look at the first sentence. A student has gotten scores of 97 and 60 on the first two tests. So let me represent T1, T sub 1, the first test, which is 97, and then T sub 2, which is 60. Now in the question, what score must be earned on the third test? So T sub 3, so we don't know, but we do know that the average AVG has to be 80 or greater. So greater than 80. Greater than or equal to 80. Alright, so when it involves with averages, that means we're going to set up differently. This will involve with a fraction. So since there are three tests, when we're finding average, we're basically going to add up the scores of the total amount of tests you have within a given word problem. So T1, T3, T2, and T3. So you're going to basically add them up. T1 plus T2, T3. And then when you're trying to find average, the sum that you have, you're going to divide by the amount that were given in the first place. So since I have 3 tests, I'm going to divide by 3. If you're trying to find the average of, say, 4 given tests, you would divide by 4. If you were trying to find the average of 7 given tests, then you would divide by 7. This word problem, we were given 3 tests with 1 unknown. So to find the average, it has to be divided by 3. But we know that the average has to be greater than or equal to 80. So here's AVG, this formula for AVG or average. Now we do know the value of T1, which is 97, and we do know the value of T2, second test, which is 60, but we don't know the value of T3, the third test. Now from here, what I would simplify is combining 97 plus 60. So 97 plus 60, that's 157 plus T3, or the third test, the whole thing divided by 3, greater than or equal to 80. Now since we have a fraction, what I want to do is I want to multiply both sides by the denominator, which is 3. So I'm going to multiply the left side by 3 and the right side by 3. So when I multiply the left side or a fraction by 3, this 3 and that 3 will divide and become 1. So what we're going to have left is 157 plus T3 greater than or equal 80 times 3 is 240. So it's 157 plus the third test, or T sub 3, greater than or equal to 240. Alright, I'm going to write it over here so that I have more space. So 157 plus T sub 3, or T3, the third test, greater than or equal to 240. Now to solve for the value of the third test, I'm going to subtract 157, cancel it out. So minus 157 on the left, minus 157 on the right. So T sub 3, T3, or the third test, is greater than or equal to 240 minus 157. So When I subtract, it will be 83. So the third test has to be greater than or equal to 83. One right here. Or if you were to translate this into words, at least $83. So those two answers, any of those two, are acceptable. So let me box them up. Now, the top answer, T3 greater than or equal to 83, that's in inequality form. The answer at the bottom, that's translating to a word answer, at least 83. So there are two different answers. You don't have to give me both of them. You can either give me in inequality form or in the word form. But the reason I wrote the word form is so that you can see the connection between them, because sometimes you might have a test, and if it's multiple choice, then they might give you in the word form. Now if they give you in inequality form, less work, easy to find. But if it's in the word form, then this is how it is perceived.